Hello there! I'm Emily.
And I'm Kayla.
And we just want to talk movies. This is episode 4 of season 2, and it is way earlier in the morning than we usually record, so I'm a little bit tired.
It's 10:30, and my eyes are still puffy.
But we got stuff to do today. Okay, so today we have our review for Megalopolis.
Oh no.
Oh, yes.
Listen, we saw it. Have ever heard of it?
We
ever
survived.
Seen it? I apologize if you saw it.
It's kind of legendary if you do know of it. And
for
we
being
did see it.
bad.
Yes. So we're going to get into all of that. And also, briefly, we're going to go over the horror movies coming up this year, since it is spooky season. And that's about it. It's pretty chillin' episode today. We don't have much news.
I have absolutely zero Stranger Things news. This is monumental.
Yeah.
Literally the only thing that happened is like a couple of the boys brought some fans on a tour of the set, and I'm like, that's not really news about how progress on the show, so I can't really give any updates. What do you have, Emily?
We finally got the trailer and the poster and a release date, a theatrical release date.
Receipt! Timeless screenshots!
For Magpie, Daisy Ridley's psychological thriller that is created by her and her husband.
Oh.
It looks pretty good. They didn't show a lot in the trailer, which I'm glad. There's still a lot of mystery of what exactly is going on, but it's basically about a woman losing her mind, so...
I love it.
Yeah,
I
we
love
to
women
see
losing their minds.
Yes. Yeah, it looks very different, very good, and I'm very excited. Excited to finally have some proof that it's going to come out.
In the year of 2025?
In this year.
In this year. What
October.
month? October. What?
20-something.
That's only a couple days from now.
Now the question, will our theater get this movie? That's the question.
That is the question.
But there is movement. We will see it one day.
We got Megalopolis. Are we getting Terrifier 3? Because
we are.
They're advertising it.
I saw. We are getting it.
Oh no, guys, wish me luck.
No, we might have to
guys,
track
give me your
Kayla.
hope and prayers. Oh no.
We're gonna get into that this episode a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all my news.
Shall we talk about Dame Maggie Smith?
Yes. I was very surprised to hear
For passing.
Yeah.
Very sad day, but her family was with her, and she said they said she passed away peacefully in her sleep, which is nice to hear.
As the lady she was,
yes.
Of course.
Amazing actress, a long career, many iconic characters.
Yes.
She'll be missed.
Literally the image of when you think of a British lady.
Yeah.
It's her.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. Rest in peace, Professor McGonagall, whoever you played in Downton Abbey.
I can't remember her name in Downton Abbey. She was an
Watch that
icon
show.
in Downton Abbey, though. She was probably my favorite.
Yeah.
I love the line when she's like, avoiding people is easy. Avoiding friends, now that's the challenge.
Yeah. Well, it's that time.
Shall we move on?
It's that time to get into Megalopolis. The legendary Megalopolis.
Yesterday was a sunny day. The high was 80 degrees. It would have been a wonderful day.
It started
Not for
off
the fact,
as a typical day.
a typical Saturday. Emily and I perused our way to the theater of our town, and there we were met with our fate of a confounding, puzzling, sometimes cringe-inducing film.
Movie? So this is supposedly Francis Ford Coppola's grand masterpiece.
His magnum opus,
Yes.
if you will.
The film he's wanted to make for years and years, decades, yes. And, never happened. Why? I wonder.
Do you think it never worked?
Why did no one want to make this?
And finally, in 2024, it worked. But
did it?
Did it? That's the philosophical question.
I would get into what this movie's about, but that's the question. Well,
to be or not to be? That was the first question posed. And I think it should have been posed with more rigidity when thinking about if this movie should have been or not.
Yes. Anyway, it stars Adam Driver, as was the only reason I went to see it.
His name was Caesar Catalina Wine Mixer. Oh, wait.
The lack of a Catalina wine mixer.
That's what my question the entire time. So basically the plot of the film is a man who's trying to build a utopia. He's trying to make New York a utopia. Question mark?
Was it New York?
Yeah, it's supposed to be, because they called it New Rome, but it's in America. It was clearly New York, as that's what I thought. Where was I going? Where was this movie going? This movie lost its train of thought a couple times, much like I do on a regular basis. Anyway, what I thought throughout this film was, if they just brought Caesar Catalina to the Catalina wine mixer, he would have not even had to build a utopia. He would have had all of his answers.
That's the utopia.
Yeah. It's a shame it never happened.
Yeah. So yeah, allegedly the plot of this film is this guy's trying to build a utopia, but then there's opposition of people who want to keep it the same. Mm-hmm. And that's how it starts. It loses its way tremendously in the middle, and then at the end it kind of pretends like it was that same plot the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
What this movie is, it's like a dream that you have. Mm-hmm. The dream starts and you're kind of like, this is kind of neat. Well, I'm liking this. And then it starts to get weird and off the rails, and you're like,
I'm gonna say, what? I actually thought the beginning was really rough for me.
Really?
I was like, I kind of want to leave. And then once we got past the part where he's tweaking at the Coliseum, and the story got a little bit slightly more grounded, I was like, okay. And then there was a lot of political intrigue, which I love. It's an ancient world movie. It's very heavily based off of ancient Rome, which they didn't do subtly at all, which was kind of cringy. But either way, it always intrigues me, a movie of that genre. So once it got into the politics of it, I was like, ooh, this is kind of cool. There's backstabbing, betrayal, double crossing. Mm-hmm. And then the end kind of, like you said, it went back to what the beginning was, which was the stuff I wasn't as interested in. Oh.
Well, let's start off. Let's each of us give our positives.
Okay.
So, I will go first.
Okay.
I thought that the set design and the costumes and all that stuff was very gorgeous looking. There's a lot of, like, obviously the Rome stuff, but there's also 1920s, a lot of that. Mm-hmm. And I think,
Art Deco.
Yes, it looked really, really gorgeous. A lot of the time, the style, again, it's hard to say because this only happened a handful of times. Mm-hmm. I think it should have been like a steady theme through the film. Is they were almost trying to make it like an old Hollywood style film.
Yeah.
Like really old Hollywood, like silent film almost.
I was getting a lot of different vibes. I was getting that vibe, but I was also at times, since it was like sort of sci-fi with like the weird megalon material he was using, mm-hmm. It gave me like old 70s sci-fi vibes in a couple scenes, which was fun.
Yeah. And I think they should have stuck with that and made it like it's an old Hollywood, like 1920s era style film, mm-hmm. but it's like a sci-fi political thriller. Yeah. And I think that's here's our blueprint and that's what we stick with.
Yeah, there was a lot going on.
Instead, they changed styles like 50,000 times throughout. Mm-hmm. But that style, I think, was the right one and what they should have stuck with. Some of the trippy imagery worked in that sense.
Some of it didn't.
Yeah, when it feels like... Because when you watch those old silent films, sometimes they they'll have random stuff like that, and you're kind of like, huh. But it's kind of charming in a way. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they did that and it worked. A lot of times they just, I don't know what they were doing. But I liked, one thing is like, I don't know what it's called. Like a telescope lens.
Oh, like vignette.
Yeah.
But then it closes.
Yeah. They did that a couple
that.
times.
That
and
was cool.
that was very 1920s.
Mm-hmm.
I think the initial setup, like, okay, this guy wants to make a utopia, and then this guy is the opposition. And then there's like a little bit of intrigue with this new guy, like, what's he all about? There's something that happened with his wife. Did he kill his wife? Mm-hmm. And there's kind of like that undertone of, I thought it was going to turn into a Hitchcock style.
Well, they referenced Hitchcock by name.
Yeah.
And
and I'm like, you didn't even do that. Because like the setup with the daughter of the mayor starts falling for this guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
that was the part that was interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because then we get the point where... So he gave him the stuff that he covered up about his wife's murder case as insurance for if he broke up with his daughter, he would support him. And if he didn't support him, then he could come out. That's what happened. Then
we should probably... Okay, so the mayor... Yeah, he doesn't want this guy, Caesar, with his daughter, whose name I forget. Did they say her name?
Yeah, they did. It was the only normal name. It was like Julia or something.
Oh, yeah, Julia. He's like, I don't want you with Julia. So here, this whole time, which they should have been focusing on this the whole time, he's like, here's my confession of,
My name is Walter Harlow White.
But anywho, getting ahead of myself. Is this making sense yet to anyone?
Probably not. It's very hard to explain the plot of this film.
Explain. Anywho, I liked everything that was set up in like that first 20 minutes, I guess. I was like, okay, I can see this going in an interesting direction. It's almost, so you have the political thriller side, and then you have like this gothic mystery side that I'm like, okay, this could get good. And then they just drop all of that straight up for like an hour, maybe more, I don't know. And then they kind of go back to a little bit,
but then
and
it's
they go
never
away.
resolved.
No, it just ends. I'm like, what? You didn't finish your story.
The conflict between Giancarlo and Adam Driver, whatever their names were, Cicero and Caesar, that was the most interesting part to me, and the stuff with this wife.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But then they didn't. Then at the end, it's all resolved in a matter of seconds. In a matter of Adam Driver gives a speech.
Yes.
And then, okay, we're everything. And now he loves the utopia, and everyone loves the utopia. And my mom loves me. And
that too. They didn't.
It was so random.
There's another random. Okay, we should like count all the plots that we're in.
This is so disorganized already.
But anywho, my last positive, of course, is Adam Driver was amazing as always. He was giving his all. If he understood the assignment, maybe he did. If he didn't, he sure was pretending that he did.
Here's what I think. That's what I was saying with like in the middle it felt more grounded because he didn't feel like a character really until the second act when like you saw more of his personal life and like him having actual emotions. But as I was watching it, I was like, I miss when Adam Driver was in movies like Marriage Story and like normal movies where I could relate to him.
Or even Annette, where it is bizarre and strange, but you feel that, like, I connected with his character throughout from that movie. This one, I was kind of like, sometimes I do, but then you do like a 360 and like, oh, now this is what we're doing? What?
I liked like the other stuff with him with like the utopia thing, but they didn't even really go into that. He just like he wants to build it and he's kind of crazy. But then
we don't get into why. Why is he so passionate about this?
And what I thought that would have been cool to focus on was like the fact that he has a lot of power as this person who can literally, and he's discovered this material and he can literally make a utopia. And that's what it set it up as. It's like the men with the power are going to ruin everything. Mm-hmm. That's what I thought the whole culmination was going to be, was that he was going to end up ruining everything, and all the leaders were going to ruin everything. But then everything was fine.
And they went in that direction, and then they're like,
then they said
never
no.
mind.
But what I thought is interesting when you're talking about a utopia is, like, his main stance the whole movie was, we just need to talk about it, guys. I'm like, okay. But what I thought was interesting was it's the very start of this place. And when you see it built, it's only like a small section of the city. And so they kind of showed the poor people of the city were like, let me in, please. Let me in, please. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I feel like we should have gone more into class and, like, who is allowed into the utopia, who's worthy of the utopia once it's created. That would have been a lot more interesting if we're going into this, especially since it's based on ancient Rome. Like, that's a very relevant thing to discuss. But it was just about all the rich white men.
Yep. And I think a movie that came out in, what was it? I can't even remember the year. 1920-something. Mm-hmm. That I'm sure this movie was heavily based on, mm-hmm. called Metropolis, mm-hmm. that does go into that.
Yeah.
It's the class, it's the utopia and the dystopia, and everyone's happy up here, but at the expense of these people who have to, like, kill themselves to mm-hmm. make the utopia work. Mm-hmm. And that's just such a better story.
It's a better way to discuss the topic.
I really liked Adam Driver and Giancarlo, is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
Giancarlo Esposito. Yeah. Their little, not banter, but...
their rivalry. Yeah.
But what do you call, like...
their chemistry?
When you got the back and forth.
They're back and forth.
But you argue.
They're ways to roast each other.
Isn't like tet-a-tat or something?
That's an odd word to use.
I've read it a million times. I don't know how to pronounce it. I would have loved to see a whole movie of them just being rivals.
That's what I'm saying. I thought that was the most interesting part for me.
It's sandwiched in the movie, kind of. Yeah. So... do you have any positives? Any at all?
My positives were Adam Driver.
Always.
Most of the performances were good. I did like the vibe of it. I kind of went back and forth on it. The first scene, I was like, this is not going to do it for me. But then, as we went on, I was like, I kind of like this vibe. Because, like we were talking about it was old Hollywood. It felt a little bit nostalgic. And, yeah, I enjoyed that. I thought the costumes were beautiful. I thought that Aubrey Plaza was really funny. I thought that, what's his name? The Angelina Jolie's father.
John Voight.
He was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Negatives. Why was Shia LaBeouf in this movie?
Okay.
Every time he was on screen, I was like, I don't really want to see you in our Lord and Savior, the year of our Lord and Savior 2024.
And the Lord and Savior Adam Driver, his presence.
Yeah.
Go away.
They were doing the evil gaze trope, which I don't know how I felt. Usually I love the evil gaze trope, but in this one, it kind of felt hateful.
It kind of felt just like, I don't know, either just really random.
Well,
or
what I came back to is in, like, Spartacus, the villain is bisexual, and at the time, it's like, okay, the movie was made in the 60s, like, I can watch it and be like, alright, I get it, but in the year of 2024, why are we still doing that? Yeah. I understand it might be a callback to older ancient world films, but
there was nothing clever to say about it, so there was no reason to do it.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of this movie, to be honest.
Yeah, I was like, I would rather watch other things.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of problems, but what makes this, one of the many reasons what makes this movie not work is I think it pretends that it has something really deep and meaningful to say, but it doesn't. And so it's trying to distract you by being like, super stylistic.
Exactly.
Like, oh, but we are saying something deep.
And he does the Hamlet monologue, and
Yeah.
and he's talking about time, and he's an artist that he controls time, and it's like it's too on the nose for me. Everything's so on the nose.
Another thing, something that like breaks the movie is everything is just so hammered into your skull between the narration and just being so obvious, but then nothing clever to say.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what this means. And? What are you saying about it?
It just felt like I could tell that this movie was originally conceptualized decades ago because it felt old. Like, we're past it. You know?
And sometimes it worked, but a lot of the times it was just outdated and trying to cover up that it was outdated with all these weird visuals and weird editing and the like. Another thing that kills the movie is the 5,000 plots that they start and don't finish or wrap up just in a second because they realize they're running out of time. What this movie feels like is a summary of a whole season of a TV show. And they're just going through, like, all the highlights. Okay, this is this plot, and this plot, and this one, and this one. And anyway, those are done. Now we're moving back to this one. And now it's done. Like, stop! There's so many times. Like, so we start the movie with, like, the political rivalry. Then we veer off to this whole Colosseum scene.
The Colosseum scene lost me.
Is completely 50 million things happening.
It was funny, but I was like, and?
Yeah, I'm like, where did the plot change? That lasts for like at least 40 minutes, probably more, felt like more, and then it ends, and then we go back to what we were talking about, and I'm like,
then we go into,
what was the point of any of that?
Then only after the Colosseum scene, which feels like it's almost halfway through the movie, but it probably wasn't because the movie was so long, only then do we start to go into who Adam Driver's character is as a character, as a human.
Yes.
And that's too late.
Let's start some more. Let's start this thing with his mom and then never finish it. Let's start. The whole thing where he can control time. You could have completely cut that concept out and it wouldn't have made a difference.
Because the only reason they added it was for like the symbolism thing and for that one scene where they're up on the floating rafter thingies.
Yeah, which could have been like so romantic and amazing, but I felt nothing.
The cinematography of it was romantic, and I was like, this in another movie.
I know. I was like, I want to be into this.
This would have been a Twisters moment in another movie.
They could have had something so good with the romance and just
and
nothing.
Like at times I was like, oh, it's sweet.
There were some cute moments.
Yeah, but then again, it kind of got lost in the sauce. There was too much going on for you to fully focus on it.
I don't know. It literally feels like you went into someone's brain while they're asleep and see how the mind jumps. Yeah. And it's not done in an interesting way.
If you're interested in seeing that, I mean, it was at least visually engaging enough. Like, when I am in a movie theater and I'm, like, not driving with the movie, sometimes I'll, like, dissociate and start thinking of, like, a better story.
Yes.
And I kept, like, starting to do that, but then it was visually engaging enough that it brought me back, and, like, there was enough going on. There was a lot going on, but there was enough going on that I was, like, actively trying to keep up with it the whole time. Which is weird. Something to say, because that's hard to do with a movie, especially when it's over 2 hours.
Yeah. It's not boring.
No.
But you feel the length.
Yeah. It's not, I wouldn't say it's tedious either. It's cumbersome, I would say.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
It's laborious.
Yes. And luckily, since Adam Driver's such a good actor and visually interesting enough in himself for me, I was able to at least not be like, I want to die, please end this movie.
Yeah.
I was at least like, there's something lovely to look at, and there's an interesting performance to watch. But yeah, just what made me mad was, because story and character for me is what I go into movies for. Mm-hmm. Like, sometimes the visuals can take it away, and sometimes I can still get it.
With, I don't know, I was going to bring up Fast and Furious as an example, but I'm like, I still like those characters.
Yes, yes.
So I don't know if you could say plot heavy movie. I don't think I enjoy movies just for the plot. I have to like the characters.
Yeah. There has to something like that. And it just didn't. They would have these little base ideas and not go anywhere with them and jump around way too much.
He never this is random, but he never went back to that weird room with his wife.
No,
he went
what
there
was
once
that?
And then he never
I
went
thought
back.
that was gonna be a whole part of like the gothic
mystery.
thriller. I'm like, oh,
See,
he's kind of crazy.
Cause there's too much going on. They couldn't focus on it.
Yeah, way too much. This needed to be edited down in the brain before it even got onto the page.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. It felt like an outline.
Not even that. It felt
like a brainstorm.
Yeah, it felt like you had a weird dream and you just want to write down everything that happened. Mm-hmm. And sometimes,
and then you have to make
cool.
up the ending at the end because a lot of times dreams don't get resolved.
Yes, that's exactly what it felt like. Oh my god.
I truly was baffled at the end. I don't know if I missed something because sometimes I couldn't hear what people were saying, but I didn't know what was happening at the end. At the end,
all of a sudden the mayor was all good.
The mayor was he gives a speech and he's in the. They said so. He's in the mayor's in the middle of giving a speech about how Adam Driver is so bad, and then someone stops him because Adam Driver's also making a speech in the Utopia thing, and they stop the mayor and they're like, "Stop! He's incriminating himself." Or something like that.
And I was like, "How is he incriminating himself?"
Shouldn't that be a good thing? But then it ends in now the mayor agrees with Adam Driver, and everyone agrees with Adam Driver. So that was confusing.
And everything's okay.
And then the whole thing with Shia LaBeouf, he had it kind of felt like he had he was like the Trump of it all.
I guess, yeah, I don't know.
They were trying to do a little bit of that too, which I mean, I guess.
That was just too much too. Like, pick a thing that you want to symbolize. Don't try to drag in every single hot topic
I feel
of the moment.
If you're gonna try to do Rome, they have to. Where was the Senate? Because the Senate is a big part of Rome, and that would have been interesting to have commentary on. But again, weird. They're not a grassroots movement, but they're this band loyal radical followers. That's something that undoubtedly happened in Rome, which could have been interesting to comment on. But again, they didn't spend enough time on it, and it felt too we need to have this because this is what's going on right now. So, and I need to have my extra bit of symbolism.
That was one of those things where it was definitely added to the script post when he had this idea way back in the day.
Definitely. Which I don't think inherently it would have been a bad idea, like I said, but it ends in his followers all turn on him for some reason.
I was lost at that point.
I don't know why. Because he couldn't take over the bank, and now everyone likes Adam Driver? I don't know. Maybe I missed something when I was confused.
They lost when they thought they would pick Shia LaBeouf over Adam Driver.
Well, that...
What? Who's gonna do that?
That just goes to show you politics.
Adam Driver for president.
Yeah. I thought it was dumb, the thing where he shoots someone with the arrow. That was just...
Again,
the way
something
that
that's
was all wrapped up was too dumb.
It felt like that was a whole episode of a TV show that got...
this would have worked better as a TV show, and I don't think I would have watched it if it were a TV show.
No, I would have watched Adam's scenes and that's it. If this were a show.
Yeah.
So to be fair.
Yeah.
But again, when he gets shot by the kid, you could have completely cut all that out and it wouldn't have made a difference.
Because again, that's when it goes back to the wife a little bit, but then nothing really comes of it. They just talk about the wife a little bit more.
Them having a baby, you could have cut that out. It wouldn't have made a difference.
Well, again, I think it's important to have the baby for the end because the Utopia is for her, basically.
I didn't even see Adam interact with that baby once.
Yeah. The thing is, if you want to go down that route, like, the whole Utopia thing was so sidelined for so much of it. I was like, I want to see, like, them building it and figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
And the ideas that they have for the actual Utopia are, like, not interesting at all. They live in weird blobular, cellular buildings. Everyone has a garden. People can get transported by things that already exist in the real world at airports. You know those little conveyor belt things you can stand on? That's basically their mode of transportation in this Utopia. I'm like, that already exists.
And they're like, it'll get you anywhere in 5 minutes. It's the slowest freaking thing I've seen. You could jog and get somewhere faster.
Then they also have the little balls from Jurassic World.
Yeah, the gyrospheres.
We've already established that those aren't a good idea.
And what's hilarious is you see in, like, the vision of the Utopia, you see people getting whipped around in these balls, and it looks horrifying.
I know. So here's the thing. The Utopia already looks like a dystopia to me. But they don't go into that. They're like, no, it's perfect. It's a Utopia. Maybe the end is supposed to be, it's scary because he has everyone brainwashed that this is going to work.
Yeah.
Like, you could look at it that way.
It's supposed to be like Midsommar.
But if that's the case, like, why is that the end point? That should have been the middle point, and then the rest should have been how it isn't Utopia. But I don't know, maybe that's not the movie you want to make, and I need to deal with that. And that's a me problem, but that's still my opinion.
Anywho, I mean...
I think that's all we have to say. Shall we give an overall rating? I would give it like a...
Are we going out of 5 stars? Or?
I like 10 system better.
Oh,
do you like 5 better?
I like 5 better.
Okay, well, we can give both. It translates, because all we have to do is half the score.
10's just so much. I
get
overwhelmed.
Out of 10, I would give it a 4. So I would give it a 2 out of 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd give it a 2 out of 5 as well. Just for what could have been.
Yeah, the 2 stars are interesting ideas, great costume, and most of the time set design.
And most of the time, good performances.
Yeah, good performances. Why was Shia LaBeouf there, but good performances.
Get him out. Throw him out. Throw him in the traitor.
I don't love Jon Voight as a person either, but...
Oh, yeah.
You could say that about a lot of people that Francis Ford Coppola...
You could say that about Francis Ford Coppola. We haven't even gotten into him, but...
I know, that's why...
he's trash.
The stuff that you've told me about him, and then as soon as I saw Shia LaBeouf's face, I was like...
Yeah. Francis Ford Coppola is a trash person. I hate him. I only paid to see this movie for Adam, not for him.
Yeah, the 2 stars.
I'm pissed off that Adam worked with him, but...
I know. I don't know what's going on there. And he worked with Shia LaBeouf.
Well, that's not his choice, but it was his choice.
He could have dropped out of the movie.
Yeah.
Aubrey Plaza, why are you working with this
people? Some concerning things, and you always have to remember all these people are assholes.
Yeah,
all of
they
them
work in Hollywood, so
yeah,
you can't idolize them.
But there's solid proof of Francis Ford Coppola being like the worst human being ever. So screw him. I don't feel bad about not liking his stupid magnum opus.
No, and I'm glad it's his last movie.
Yeah, and I'm glad that everyone's trashing.
I think this movie solidified that like we're in an era where we don't need any more of his movies. We're good.
Yep, you're done. You had like 3 good ones, in my opinion.
I like Dracula.
Outsiders.
The Outsiders was good.
I like Rumblefish.
I haven't seen Rumblefish.
I don't know what else he did. I don't care about The Godfather. I don't care about Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, I don't really care about any of them. I did a report about him, which I now kind of regret. Ugh. It was not all about him, but it included a lot about him.
I know, Listen,
he's done a lot for the film industry, but he's also done a lot of bad for the film industry.
Yeah, and everyone constantly wants to sing his praises, but not talk about the bad stuff he's done.
Yeah.
Because it's all like, just don't talk about that.
Because he's so powerful.
If an actor, like,
doesn't pay
said something dumb, or, if they made a weird tweet once, they're shunned for all time.
Yeah, that's so weird about cancel culture. We could go into that.
Ugh, that's for another day.
I don't understand it.
But yeah, I'm glad we saw it. I mean, it's the theater experience itself was good.
Yeah, I guess it was. If you want to see it, seeing it in theaters is probably the best, just because of the visual aspect. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think I'll watch it again at home.
No. At most, I'd like skim through it to get some ideas for my own story.
Yeah, exactly. Movies like this are perfect for that.
Yes, be like, so here's what not to do.
Anyway, shall we switch topics?
We're gonna switch gears to briefly talk about the upcoming horror movies of this year, because it's spooky season.
Yay! I'm so excited for spooky season.
Though in a year where films have not been great.
Will these disappoint us? Will any of these be a Twisters moment? Ooh, okay, each time you bring up a film, I will rate it on a scale of 1 to 5 how much of a Twisters moment I think it'll be.
Okay, so there's, how many, 4 or 5? Okay, 4.
4 movies.
There's 4 I'm gonna cover. I don't know if you had any more.
Maybe I'll rank them on how much of a Twisters moment I think they'll be, and we'll come back at the end of the year and see how right I was.
So the first one is Terrifier 3.
Okay.
Kayla might abandon me if I go see this one.
Let's talk about it. Terrifier 3, the upcoming sequel to Terrifier 2, and Terrifier.
Which was the sequel to Terrifier. Which was the continuation of the short film Terrifier.
That's right. And
the anthology film, All Hallows Eve.
Wow, it's had quite a history. I'm happy that a horror franchise is in our theater and is getting a lot of buzz, and we have a new iconic face in the horror scene. However, it's not for me, love. It's not for me.
Yeah, it's the subgenre of splat stick, as they call it, making a huge comeback with this
honestly.
franchise. Yeah, I hear this one is
Even crazier.
You thought the bedroom scene was pushing the lines, they say, in Terrifier 2. Well,
I've seen the bedroom scene with a lot of blur, and I don't want to see the bedroom scene without the blur.
I have to say, I don't think I've ever looked away from a horror film ever since I was, like, first started watching them. For whatever reason, in that scene, even when I knew what was about to happen, I had, like, moments where I'm like, what am I doing?
I don't think I'll be able to look at it.
It's weird because it's so over the top and silly, like cartoonish silly, but at the same time you're kind of like,
watching something like that feels illegal. Maybe because I watched it with the blur over it, it just felt illegal.
I mean, it's strange.
It's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I love that. I love Christmas horror.
Yes. So as far as Twister's moment,
I would love you to walk out of the theater of Terrifier 3 and be like, that was better than Twister.
Yeah. So, okay, I should have started with, after seeing Megalopolis, Twisters is still my favorite movie of 2024. Anyway, as far as Twister's moment, a lot of times I go into franchises being very skeptical, and I come out being very, very excited. And I was a little bit skeptical going into Twisters, I have to say. I was very excited, but I was like, are they going to ruin it? So, in that sense, I feel like it'll be a little bit of a Twisters moment where I feel like if I make myself watch these movies, I will enjoy them a little bit. Possibly. I still, like with Saw, I'm not going to say I'm a number 1 Saw fan, but I do enjoy the Saw franchise, which I never thought I would say. So, I'll say this. I think as far as Twister's moment goes, it'll be around a 2, like just breaching a 2.
Out of 10?
Of 5.
5.
Yeah.
Okay.
And at the end, I'm going to rank these. So yeah, it'll be a Twister's moment in terms of fun. I was pleasantly surprised I was having so much fun. Other than that, like, it won't have...
when you weren't looking away.
I might also be slightly traumatized. Twisters did not traumatize
very traumatized.
me. It did, actually, the first scene of Twisters kind of traumatizes you because you're like, everyone died. But yeah, that on that scale, it might be a little bit of a Twisters moment, but I don't think it'll rival Twisters in any sense of the word.
Fair enough.
I love that this is what I'm talking about.
I don't even know what to say. I've said so much about this, but if we do end up seeing this in the theater, I've seen a movie like this in a theater.
Yeah, you didn't see the second one in theaters.
No, I watched it on my tiny little iPhone and was like, after I had to be like, okay, there we go. And I have a high tolerance for gore and horrific stuff in film. But even that, I had to be like, wow, okay, that was something. So seeing that on a big screen with a bunch of strangers around.
That'll be weird. I wonder if people will run out. I know that was happening.
I mean, I think people now know a bit more about these movies. I feel like when the second one came out, they didn't know. No one knew the first one.
That's true.
Except hardcore horror fans. So people just saw, oh, it's a killer clown movie. I guess we'll go see it. It's not just
It's not just any killer clown movie.
You have to definitely be a connoisseur of horror and gore. You have to be very, very well experienced to be able to, I think, be okay with what happens on the screen and just the style of it, like the grindhouse.
Yeah, I don't like stuff like that.
Yeah, and this one I think goes way more into that than the second one did, because the second one was a bit more polished.
Okay, so they're leaning into the non-polished.
Yeah, because people who were fans of it, they liked that style of the first one. They're like, we want more of that back. So, yeah.
Okay, so maybe it will be a little bit less of a Twisters moment for me. Maybe a 1.5. A 1.5 on the Richter scale. Oh, because Twisters themselves are rated 1 through 5, right? I can't remember.
Maybe.
Because don't they say that's a level 5 or something? Yeah, okay. This ranking system is working well for me.
You need to put a sound effect of like the beep, 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 beep.
Yeah. Okay, what's our next film?
Our next film is Smile 2.
Ooh, okay, this will be a little bit more of a Twisters moment, possibly. So listen, the first Smile, it lost me at the end, but I still feel like it was an iconic moment for pop culture, especially because of like the fun marketing that they were doing.
Yeah.
So I will say it was definitely a moment. And this one I'm very excited about because it's about a pop star, and I think that that's such an interesting route to take. So, I feel like I could end up being like, it's just a middling horror movie, or I could be like, this is icon central. So I'm gonna take a chance and say it's a 3 on the Richter scale of Twister. If I don't like it, I think it'll be like a 1.
Well, obviously.
Well, yeah, but I have to predict, so I'm gonna say 3.
Yeah. I'm really excited for this one. I liked the first one a lot. I love that these are rated R, and they definitely go into the gore and the just weird, gross imagery. I hope they go even more into that in this one.
If they kill a cat again,
hopefully there's no cat death.
It will be a 0. There were no dead cats in Twisters.
Yeah,
and there better never be dead cats in Twisters.
We don't love to see that. No. So hopefully there's none of that. But I love Naomi Scott.
That's right. She's amazing. I love her.
I love that she's going to be the main character. Hopefully there's some good songs because of the whole...
Yes, okay. So it'll definitely be a Twisters moment if there's good songs for me. So.
I just watched that awful movie Trap with what's his name? Why can't I think of his name? What the heck? Josh Hartnett.
Yeah. I was like, it's something horror something. Not
anywho,
good.
But the songs in that, I'm like, these are like, I'd get these on Apple Music. So
it was like The Idea of You.
Yes, exactly. Well, not that good. The songs were not as good as August Moon.
It wasn't The Idea of You moment. It wasn't an August Moon
moment, but still pretty good. So yeah, I hope there's some good songs, some good original songs. I think it said that Kyle Gallner is back, and what's her name? I don't know how to pronounce her name. Is it Saucy or Susie?
The main character?
Yeah, Kevin Bacon's daughter.
She's Kevin Bacon's daughter?
We've discussed this many times.
Wait, the main character in the first Smile is Kevin Bacon's daughter?
Yeah, don't you see her on the commercial with him all the time?
No!
Oh my god!
I only know her from 13 Reasons Why.
No, that's why she's doing horror.
Oh, that's Kevin so cool. Bacon. I like her.
Yeah, it says that she's back. I don't know if she's gonna be like
Is the guy from the guy you just said is the guy from like Jennifer's Body and okay, I like him too.
Yeah,
he's a horror icon.
I love to see him and stuff. So it makes sense that he's back because he lived, but the lady died allegedly.
They say.
They say she died. I don't know if she's gonna be like a flashback or
maybe
they just have her on the cast list.
Yeah, they do that a lot.
But regardless, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I'm excited.
A little worried because sometimes with sequels it can just be like total trash compared to the first one. But you know, it's still rated R, and
it has
an interesting plot.
A fresh concept.
Yeah.
So
I think it'll be fun.
Yes.
Hopefully. And I just realized that all these movies are sequels or reboots.
All of them. All right.
Well,
that's 2024 for you.
So the next one is Nosferatu. The reincarnation of Nosferatu. Oh, this could go like
it could
one of
really
two
go
extreme ways.
So who's the director of this again? What's his name?
Edgar somethings. Isn't it an S?
It's not Edgar Wright. That's the other Edgar.
It's Eggers, isn't it? That's the last name.
Oh, Robert Eggers.
Yes.
Okay. He did The Northman, he did The Witch, and he did Lighthouse. Anything else?
Not that we've seen.
I would say I enjoyed all those movies.
Lighthouse.
Lighthouse less than the other two, but I like his style, and I think for Nosferatu, I think that'll be really fitting, and I'm excited to see it. Like I will be seated in theaters, but I don't know.
It has a chance to be extremely pretentious.
Too pretentious. Like, how much more can we say about vampires in such a pretentious way? I think, but I'm excited. The cast, we got
Bill Skarsgård.
We have Willem Dafoe.
Yeah,
of course. Have Johnny Depp's Lily Rose Depp. I think that she has such a horror face. They all do.
Yes.
So I'm excited.
It's
as
probably
far as
look
Twister
really cool.
scale, it's hard to compare this type of movie to Twisters.
Terrifier, it's easier.
Yeah, I'm saying, and Smile, because they're both kind of camp.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'll have as much fun as Twisters, so I feel like it won't be a Twisters moment. So I feel like I'm going to have to put it at a 1. But in terms of like how much I think about it afterwards, it could be at a 3 or a 4. So I'll leave it at that.
I don't know what they're going to do. I feel like the safest way, just for me, would be to just make it a classic gothic vampire tale. Don't try to do anything like, trying to be pushing the envelope of blah, 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 blah.
I feel like he could do really cool new things with visuals and vibe, but other than that, I don't feel like I need...
You don't need to make it a complicated story. It's Dracula.
Yeah.
And just do it and make it entertaining and cool. And we've got all these cool new visuals. And no one's really done Nosferatu in a while. I think like since the 70s or the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So I think it has a lot of potential, but this director's movies like just go in extreme opposite directions for me. Like some of them I'm really into and I love, but then The Lighthouse is like one of the worst films I've ever had to sit through in my life.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
I didn't think it was that bad.
I can't do it. I was so aggravated with it. I'd actually say The Northman is probably my favorite of his.
I love a good revenge tale. But I think The Witch... I don't know, actually. The Witch and The Northman are both really good.
Yeah. Either way, we know it's gonna look good. But story-wise, like pacing-wise, I don't know.
Yeah, pacing could be weird.
It is, I think it's like over 2 hours, so...
Which... I don't know if it needs to be unless we're going pretentious routes. So we'll see. My favorite line, we'll see.
I hope there's romance. I love gothic romance.
But I don't know. Nosferatu is not very romantic.
No. But maybe that's the new direction they go. I don't know.
Count Olaf, as I call him.
Olaf. Bill Skarsgård in spooky makeup. He attracts the ladies.
He's a very attractive person, so I feel like...
Well, he has that interesting face that I always talk about that looks so good in scary makeup.
Yeah.
So.
He's coming back to play Pennywise, too.
In what? That TV series you're trying to make?
Yeah.
Ugh.
I don't know if it'll happen, but... Well,
did anyone see The Crow?
No, I don't want to see it. Why are we whitewashing The Crow? And also, why are we remaking The Crow?
The last film, which I don't know if this is actually coming out this year. It doesn't have a release date, but it just says 2024. Is Return to Silent Hill.
Oh, I didn't even know about this one.
Yeah.
So it's a sequel to Silent Hill.
Yes. Now, they made a sequel to Silent Hill, the movie, called Silent Hill Revelation, which was garbage, if you ask me.
Okay.
So it's kind of, I don't know. I love the first Silent Hill movie. It's so creepy. It's so cool. There's so much. This is a perfect example of the opposite of Megalopolis.
Yeah.
There's so much going on and it works. It all comes together.
Yeah, it all comes together. The finale's really good.
I loved the setting. I loved all the creature designs, the effects. Oh,
I love that it's all a result of female rage.
Yes.
That's my type of movie right there.
I just thought it was really well done. I have not played the video games.
But even as someone who didn't watch the video games, as I was watching it, I was like, it's same with The Last of Us for me. I'm like, I can tell that anyone who played the video games is like, oh, this is the video game. Like certain scenes, I'm like the scene where they're jumping across the beams. That was like, I'm sure that was a level that everyone failed at in the video game.
I know that like the nurses is a level that everyone talks about that they couldn't get past. But yeah, people are pretty much split down the middle when it comes to the movies. Like there's people who they love the video games, they hate the movie, and there are some people like, oh, it was fine. So I don't know what they're gonna do with this new one. They say it's about a guy who lost his wife, and so now he finds himself wandering into the town and looking for her.
Okay.
I think that's a cool concept. I feel like I don't know if they would exactly just redo the first movie because it was so polarizing.
Well, I don't know how the video games are. Is it based off of a
I
video
think it
game?
is. I think it's based off the second video game.
Okay.
Silent Hill 2.
I don't know enough about the video game.
I know, so it's kind of hard to say. But since I'm such a huge fan of the first movie, I'm definitely intrigued and would love if they like are exploring another side of this world. I would love to see that. I want to see more creepy spookiness.
Yeah, and
horrendous scarring things. Where the first time I watched that movie, I'm like,
yeah,
I think halfway through I turned it off.
You did?
It was like on TV, and they cut to a commercial right after Pyramid had like ripped that lady out of her skin.
Oh yeah, that was pretty crazy.
I was like, I think I'm gonna go to bed now.
Yeah, I feel like I'm up for that. As far as the Twisters moment, I don't know. I really don't think I know enough about it that I can anticipate. I'm gonna put it... What did I put Smile at?
3?
A 3? So maybe like a 2.5. So that puts Smile first.
Smile 2?
Possibly Nosferatu first, but I don't think I want to do that. I'll put Nosferatu second, and then I'll put Terrifier. No. Then I'll put Silent Hill. Then I'll put Terrifier.
If Silent Hill comes out.
Yeah, if it comes out this year.
I'm starting to doubt that it will, but
I feel like 2025 is shaping up to be really good, but I'm afraid that everything that's supposed to come out in 2025 is gonna be pushed back to 2026.
I mean, I can't believe it's already October.
And Twisters is my favorite movie of the year.
I mean, it's probably on my list, too.
It has to be. It was a Twisters moment.
There was enemies to lovers, so I can't, not enjoy it. But yeah, that's the upcoming horror. Nothing I'm,
crazy excited about.
Yeah, but things that I think could be interesting. Mm-hmm. Who knows? Half these movies we might not see.
Yeah, we might not be able to see.
If I can drag Kayla to Terrifier 3. If I can drag myself to Terrifier 3.
I still have to watch the first 2 Terrifiers before you get me to do that. When is it coming out?
The 11th.
Of October?
I don't know. I don't know. We're going to have to see what's going on. Because there's already a lot of stuff we're trying to see this month.
We Live in Time with Andrew Garfield is coming out, I think, that same day. Joker...
We have double feature.
The second... We Live in Time and Terrifier.
Yes.
We might need to do that because I might be traumatized. Well, I might be traumatized from We Live in Time. It looks really sad.
Oh, great. It's gonna be like the last duel and then Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
Like,
that was
great.
a bad double feature. That was a really bad double feature.
Bad choice.
Maybe that was why I hated Halloween Kills so much.
You're already in a bad
Well, Halloween
mood.
Ends I really hated. I didn't really hate Halloween Kills until I sat with it for a little while.
I hated it because we just watched a very well made movie and watched a terrible made movie.
it was quite the contrast. I also want to see Saturday Night.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting about that.
With Finn Wolfhard's very small role he's gonna be in.
We're gonna see, probably gonna see Venom.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The
There's a lot
grandparents
coming out this month. This September was quite dry. I have to say. What did we see? We saw Megalopolis and nothing.
That was
else.
it. That was it.
And nothing. So there you have it.
But in August, I think we saw Alien. That wasn't.
I didn't love Alien.
No, that was another one where I felt like there's a lot of missed potential.
Mm-hmm.
But anywho,
Can we talk about what we've been watching?
Oh, what we're watching?
What have we been watching?
I just finished Feud, Betty and Joan, which I'm horrendously late for. I know.
Yeah.
But I thought it was so good. I enjoyed it very, very much.
I really want to watch it.
As a fan of like that era of horror films and just horror films in general, it was just delightful. I love seeing stuff about making a movie and all the drama, and I love like whenever a movie would come up that I randomly watched years ago when I was going through watching old horror movies. I'd be like, I remember watching this random movie. Oh my god.
That's cool.
I think that Jessica Lange and Susan Sarandon were perfectly cast.
Yeah, who else would play them?
I don't know, but it was just so fun and funny and touching and just a love letter to the actresses of this era who were kind of just crapped all over.
Yeah.
I loved it. I would watch it again. It was very great. I'm not going to talk about the other shows I watched because it's not worth it.
Good. I have a TV show that I watched that I would love to share with you because it was my second Twisters moment of the year. I now have two things that I'm like hyper fixated on, and they both came out of this year. So as crappy as this year has been, like I have some highlights. Anyway, the show's called Interview with a Vampire. Ever heard of it? Because I've talked about it before.
Speaking of favorite couples of 2024.
Oh my gosh, Lestat.
Lestat.
They're so toxic.
Oh.
They're the only like men who need to be in therapy that I'll tolerate in film. Like I don't know why I'm not annoyed with them, but I just love them so much. This show is so good. It is very overtly queer, which I feel like we needed because the story is already all overtly queer, but no one wanted to say it until
horror in general is overtly queer.
And vampires.
Yes.
Like the concept of the vampire and like Louis as a character in the show is dealing with so much like internalized hatred of himself, and it works so well with the vampire thing because Louis hates that he has to kill. And it's just so good. And all the actors are so amazing.
All the evil gays.
There are so many evil gays. It's the best show. It's literally everything I love. And there's music in it. There's a song. It's like a musical sort of. And guess what? In season 3, it's gonna be a full-blown musical because Lestat is going on a world tour, and I'm gonna be there. And nothing better ruin the world tour. But anyway, it's just such a tragic story of like found family and like generational trauma because basically like when you get turned, they're like sort of like your surrogate parent, and like all the vampires are traumatized, so like that stuff just runs through them all, and these tortured characters are just so amazing to follow. And the big twist at the end of both seasons, but especially at the end of the second, had me almost bawling. The final scene between Louis and Lestat was so heartbreaking, and I think about it all the time. And now I have bought the first 3 books, and now I'm reading them because I I can't get enough of these characters. And it's so good. It's a Twisters moment, and I can't wait for season 3.
She's refusing her duties as my developmental editor
Because
in order
I'm
to read
reading-
this.
Because I'm reading Interview with the Vampire.
So my second book doesn't come out on time.
It's
Blame
because,
her.
It's because of Interview with the Vampire. Blame Interview with the Vampire. Yes. I am so excited.
You look like you read a lot of it already.
I'm already almost 200 pages in. I'm almost done with it, sort of. I'm like more than halfway through, I think. And I'm very excited to read the Vampire Lestat because I think I'll like that book even more. I've heard that's a lot of people's favorites. Lestat is probably my favorite character in the show. I like Claudia as well. Claudia has always been an interesting character to me. But yeah, I love all of them. I love all of them. And I love when Louis goes on a rampage on revenge for Claudia's death. And I hate Armand. And I knew that he was bad. And I knew it all along. But I also kind of love Armand because he's iconic.
Spoilers if you haven't watched.
Or you'll know nothing about Interview with the Vampire. But, so good. And I was very wrong. I thought that the show followed the book more. I don't know why I thought that, but it's very different. But I actually think all of the changes that they made are very good updates, but they also keep the spirit of the book in really like interesting, cool ways, which is why it's been so enjoyable to read the book. So it's just a masterpiece for me. And I've been watching it, like I haven't stopped watching it since I finished season 2. I fall asleep to it because it's spooky season and it's a perfect thing to fall asleep to. But I've also just been rewatching it. And I need to get season 2 on DVD because season 2 is not on Netflix, and that is crappy. Because season 2 is so good. Watch Interview with the Vampire if you haven't, because I don't think
it's a Twisters moment.
It is a Twisters moment. You will be Twisterfied, and also I don't think a ton of people are watching it because I'm like in the fandom now. And whenever I'm on Instagram looking at all the fan posts, I reach an end to the feed. Like, nothing more will load. So, like, the fandom isn't huge yet. I hope that it takes off soon. But watch it, please. I don't want the show to get canceled. If it gets bought by Netflix, it's guaranteed to be canceled. But it's currently still owned by AMC. So, fingers crossed it stays that way. I've talked about it enough.
Oh. That's all she's been watching.
That's literally all I've been watching.
Okay, so that's our review of Megalopolis and our thoughts on the upcoming horror movies of this year.
Yes.
Our next episode, we are going to be discussing Joker, the new Joker, and possibly Terrifier, and comparing the two. Because they're both clown movies. I don't know if we'll see Terrifier, but we'll still be talking about it regardless, just comparing them, because I think it's so funny that they're coming out at the same time.
That's really funny.
And they're very different takes
they
on the
come
clown.
out on the same exact day.
Now that's a double feature.
Yeah, that would have been another Barbenheimer moment. That would have really got some buzz.
Yes.
I'm excited to see Lady Gaga.
Yes.
Very, very excited.
Always.
I love Lady Gaga.
Yeah, I think it could be... I might possibly like this one better than the first one. I don't know. Because I'm not a huge fan of the first Joker.
I liked it. I liked it.
I think it was... well, we'll talk about it when we talk about it. But anywho, that's going to be our next episode. So until then, make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook to keep up to date on everything that's happening with the show. And that's it for this episode.
And we'll catch you on the flip side.
That was so chaotic.